You don't think it would have worked if you were in love, or romantically in love? You don't think so?
Everybody wants to know something about this. I think the thing about it is if you're in love off the ice, that to then live and be off the ice and then come and work and then try and capture some sort of emotion on the night, I don't think we would have been able to carry that out. Even when we were young, even when we started, we sort of made a commitment with each other. We both previously had other partners, and as they were the same age as us at the time, like 16, 17, 18, boy relationships came into it, and that's sort of why our relationships, our partnerships with the other partners broke up. And I think as we came together, we decided to not let anybody else get into our little circle, but at the same time, we didn't want to complicate what we were doing. Did you understand that?
I wonder, do I understand that?
Did you follow?
But do you ever get on each other's nerves then? Do you ever?
Yes.
You do?
I mean, he's always getting on my nerves because he always has to be early and on time for everything.
Yes.
And I drive him crazy because I'm always like a few minutes late, you know.
Yes.
So.
And why can't you be on time? Yes.
Well.
The documentary, the BBC documentary, which is, I'm quite certain so many people have talked to you about, when you were seen reducing her to tears on the ice skating rink during rehearsal. That was a sort of a sad moment. You actually did start weeping because he was so tough with you and so cross with you, and I wouldn't blame you for crying. Absolutely. Tell us about that day. It was a stressful day.
I came and thumped him afterwards. They didn't see that. No, just kidding. No, I mean, that was he can be pretty nasty sometimes in that way, but it was a very tense day for us. It was the day after we returned to practice after the European Championships earlier this year, preparing for the Olympics, and we had to make a big decision if we were going to change a lot of our choreography and a lot of ideas we'd had, and we were actually doing something we didn't believe in at the time, and it was a very depressing day. It was, I think, if someone said when was the lowest point in your career, I think that probably was it that day.
It was there, captured on film.
And Chris was, he was very tense. He was trying to motivate me, and I was very sort of down and depressed. And following that, you know, I mean, I did get an apology afterwards, which wasn't shown.
Yeah, and you'd both already committed yourselves to the BBC, to the day's filming, and you couldn't break that.
Unfortunately, we'd agreed to let them come in on that day, and we couldn't sort of turn that down. So, you know, after that time, we actually got back on the ice and carried on working for another couple of hours.
Yes,
and
he was horrible to you,
and
so
did some
he was.
good work.
He was a rude man. I'm going to show another piece of your skating, but first of all, a young lady here wants to get in. Yes. Hi.
Yes, sorry, I just want to ask, do you think that the Nancy Kerrigan and Tonya Harding affair has taken away from the real performance of ice skating?
I think that particular event took away from a lot of the Olympics. You know, there were a lot of great stories. People have spent their life getting to that point, to be eclipsed by somebody hitting somebody with an iron bar, and the whole soap opera that then went on to follow that. But, you know, I guess it's good copy because people tuned in, people wanted to know. As a result of that, this particular year in America, they've had more skating on TV than they've ever had.
Yeah, colossal audience that night too. Everybody was glued to it. Yes, where was that young man? Yes, sir.
Can I just ask Chris there, when you started skating, what made you more interested in figure skating more than ice hockey? Just when you started off?
I fancy keeping my teeth.
Yes. Yeah. You were never attracted to ice hockey, no?
Ice hockey at that time wasn't popular. It's only over the last 10 years that it's sort of become popular. And, you know, 25 years ago when we started, it wasn't as popular as it is in North America.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I would just like to ask the couple, when you first started skating, was it, did you have government funding? Or was it just sponsorship?
We were one of the few people, I think, in 1980 when we competed in the
Olympics.
Which one?
1980 Olympics.
Where were we?
Lake Placid.
Oh yeah, Lake Placid. Those Olympics.
Years ago.
We were still full time. We were 48 hours.
We were still had full-time jobs.
I was a policeman, Jane was in an office. Right. So we for the major part of our skating career, to begin with when we were younger, obviously we were funded by our parents. But the minute we left school, then we had to finance it ourselves. It was only come 1980 that then we got support from our city council.
Yeah.
How long were you a policeman, Chris?
6 years in all.
Were you
Yeah,
that
I
long?
was 2 years as a cadet. We always say cadets, police cadets.
Yeah.
That's the lowest point. You know, you go police cadets, police dogs, then policemen.
Yes. And did you like being a copper at all?
Yeah, we had. It was an interesting side of life. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I did it, because through that time, you came across incidents that you would never come across. I remember one day I was the fresh-faced policeman on the square, and I think I was 18 and a half, one of my first things that I had to do. And it was a Sunday afternoon, the Salvation Army was out playing, you've got the down and outs and the drunks in one corner, then the families. And in the middle of all this was this guy that started to dance and started to take his clothes off, and I'm at the other end of the square. And the thing that you taught at training school, never run, never look like you're worried. So I figured how long I got to get there, and by the time I got there, it was too late. He was stripped naked, absolutely dancing, doing the rain dance. So, you know, I had to put him on his front and sit on him, and I was the spectacle of the square for the next 5 minutes, which seemed an eternity until the police van came down.
Yes.
We put him in the police van, we were taking him back, and the guy that was driving forgot to lock the door, of which this guy bolted, stark naked, in a one-way street with all the traffic streaming down the other way, with a policeman running after him. I just wish we'd had the cameras there.
Wonderful. Why didn't you leave him alone, for heaven's